Hello, this video is going to talk about Chapter 6, Objective 5, which deals with bone repair and then how bone repairs itself after a fracture. First, we need to kind of take a look at what the definition of a fracture is, and it's basically just a broken bone. I don't think that's a big surprise to anybody. However, when we talk about the complications, one of the things that can happen, as you see here in Figure 1, when that bone breaks, not only does the bone break, but a bunch of blood vessels break as well. And if you remember, bone also contains not only red marrow in the spongy bone, but yellow marrow. And with yellow marrow, that's, remember, adipose tissue or fat. So when the blood vessels break, those fat globules that were in the spongy bone are able to be to enter into those broken blood vessels, and now they become floating in the bloodstream. So that's called an embolism. A fat embolism is what that is. Now that fat embolism can then go to the heart, where it can eventually get to the lungs and it can get to the brain. This can cause respiratory distress and ultimately death. Brain, it can definitely cause stroke-like symptoms, things like that. So a fat embolism is a pretty serious complication of a bone fracture. There are several types of fractures. So what you're going to need to do is to be able to identify the type of fracture and its description. So I'm going to show you some x-rays. You don't have to know anything about the x-rays for the test. I'm just trying to show them to explain what exactly these fractures are. So in other words, a transverse fracture is going to be one that runs perpendicular to the normal direction of bone. So as you can see, the bone is running this direction. That transverse fracture is happening perpendicular to that. So that is a transverse fracture. This right here is an oblique fracture. It's also known as a slanted fracture. You can see the tibia bone right here, which runs straight down the medial side of the leg. And that fracture is running oblique. It's running slanted. A spiral fracture is going to occur when a force is applied along the axis of the bone that is a rotational type force. So the axis of the bone, or the shaft of the bone, is running this way, and you can see that the force is applied in opposite directions on either side of where that fracture is going to occur, and that's going to cause what's resulting in a spiral fracture. This is usually some type of physical response, such as basketball, football, things like that. Your physical activities tend to be lead up to spiral fractures when there's an accident. Comminuted fracture. A comminuted fracture is when the bone just splinters. It just breaks into a bunch of fragments. So you can see here, this right here is the radius bone in the lower arm, and it has just absolutely shattered. An impacted fracture is when you have this image. The x-ray image is not of the actual person's arm, even though the fracture is in the same place. What happens is when you try to fall, or when you fall and you try to catch yourself, sometimes what happens is a bone gets driven into another bone and it shortens one of the bones. So that's an impacted fracture. This is an impacted fracture of the radius. This is one of our professor's mothers, and she had fallen and resulted in an impacted fracture. And you can see what they do here is they've got her fingers in these slings, and then they've got this sandbag down here. So they're literally just pulling the bone back apart to lengthen it back to where it was. Green stick fracture. This is an incomplete fracture where one side is broken and the other side is bent. You can see the broken on this side, but look at that bend right there. What allows the bone to bend like that? This is going to be, remember, bone, the matrix is made up of two parts. It's made up of collagen, which is the flexibility part, and you can definitely see the flexibility part in this picture here. And that is the organic component made by the ribosomes. And then you have the inorganic component of the matrix, which is your calcium phosphate, the hard minerals, which provide the bone strength. So again, this is just really representing the flexibility of bone in this green stick fracture. Now, an open, also known as compound fracture, is when you can see the skin is broken and the bone protrudes from the skin. A closed or simple fracture, this is where the break remains within the skin. This is going to be a little bit safer, right? Because your first line of defense has not been tampered with. First line of defense being the skin. And once you break that skin, then you're allowing pathogen entry in. So in a closed fracture, that eliminates that component. So I'll give you a second to take a look at question 17 and match those fractures up with their description. Okay, so you should have gotten D, E, A, C, B as your answers to that. Okay, so what happens when a bone breaks? So just reminding y'all, this is a longitudinal section here of a bone, and you can see the marrow in there, but you can also see all of those blood vessels. So when a bone breaks, not only does the bone break, but a lot of blood vessels break as well. So when you're first dealing with how does the body going to repair itself, you've kind of got it, your body has to triage and you've got a lot of things happening at once. So what's primary? What do we have to take care of first? The first and foremost is we've got to seal off these blood vessels, or you could actually bleed to death from a broken bone. And that does happen, especially in crush victims and things like that. So in a bone break, blood vessels are broken. So you've got to clot that blood to prevent blood flow exiting out of the circulatory system. So about 6 to 8 hours after the fracture occurs, the clot has formed, and that's called a fracture hematoma. Now, the problem with that fracture hematoma is that you just clotted off blood going downstream from the break. All of those cells are no longer getting access to oxygenated blood, which means the bone and all the cells downstream of that is going to result in death. So all the cells that are no longer getting access to that oxygen anymore are going to die because you just cut off the blood supply. Now, what happens next? Chondrocytes from the endosteum layer, that inside layer, remember, of the medullary cavity, that's going to start to create an internal callus by making this fibrocartilage matrix in this area here. So you've got this internal callus that's going to form right in here. Now, it's coming from chondrocytes. Keep in mind, that's a cartilage cell, right? So keep in mind, cartilage does not require blood flow, which is really nice, even though it's connective tissue. It does not require blood. So it's very nice that this can form here because remember, you just cut off the blood flow in the previous step. The next thing that's going to happen is that external callus is going to form, uniting the two ends of the bones. This is going to be primarily hyaline cartilage, and it's going to help stabilize that fracture. So now that we've kind of dealt with all the emergencies, the next thing that's going to happen is before bone repair can begin, before you can start, getting in there and building that back up again, you've got to get rid of all of that dead tissue that was there. So those osteoclasts are going to come in. This is going to happen over weeks. Osteoclasts are going to come in and resorb those dead bone cells that are there and get rid of it. Just kind of clean up the mess a little bit. That cartilage, that callus part, the internal and external callus, is going to be replaced by trabecular bone. Remember, that spongy bone. And this is going to happen with the process known as endochondral ossification. So remember, the cartilage is going to be laid down. Bone is going to come in and replace that cartilage. And when bone replaces cartilage, that's called endochondral ossification. And you can see this is definitely spongy bone that is forming there. The internal and external calluses are going to unite. The compact bone replaces the spongy bone, and then healing becomes complete. So I'm going to give you a second. The test question is probably going to be something like putting events in the right order or something along those lines. So I'll give you a second to take a look at number 18. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen is that fracture hematoma is going to form. And that ends all of objective 5.